Hello and welcome to PGurus channel. I'm your host Sri Iyer and I am here today with Nat Natraj. Nat, welcome to PGurus channel.
Hi Sri, how are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. Nat and I go back many years. Nat is also an entrepreneur. He has been in the Valley for many years. And what particularly fascinates me, Nat, is the breadth of technologies you have spanned in the startups that you have been associated with. What I would love for you to do is to introduce to our listeners where it all started from your bachelor's days, and then how did you decide to become an entrepreneur? Because in your case, as far as I can remember, your wife has almost always been a homemaker.
Yes.
So that's a slightly different scenario that I'm used to.
Yes.
So maybe we can take it away from your university days, and then we can go along the
Definitely,
journey.
Sri. Delighted to be with you, Sri. Vanakkam, everybody. So, very interesting question you pointed out. The common thread to everything I've done is client management and sales. That I believe is one of my unique passions and core competency. And from a young age, I enjoy meeting with people and getting to know people in a multidimensional way, right? And that to me, that is very important to selling, right? And my earliest days of professional selling was back in IIT Bombay when I was getting my bachelor's degree.
You were selling as a student?
Yeah, I wanted to buy a cassette recorder. Typical Indian middle class family. Right. I could not afford a cassette recorder. And this was way back when, to date myself, around 1978. IIT Bombay used to have a cultural festival called Mood Indigo, which is very popular. And we used to have a souvenir or magazine for that. And selling ads for the magazine was the quickest way I figured out that I could make enough money to buy my tape recorder.
I see.
So one summer, second year summer, I canvassed and went to Nariman Point, called on every company, every CEO who would never give me a meeting, but I'd befriend the secretary, get to know the CEO somehow, and I broke all records in getting advertisements. And so it's a long drawn out way to make money, because first you got to sell the ad, and then the company had to give a block print of the advertisement.
Exactly, right.
And then you got to print,
right.
And then the manager had to show that it actually got printed. And then IIT Bombay could raise an invoice, and they paid 90 days later. So actually, although I sold my deals in summer of second year, I was able to buy the cassette record only this third year summer.
Of course.
Because that's how long it took for IIT Bombay to make money, and they gave me a cut. So that's a very interesting journey. And so I came to the country in 82 for graduate school. And luckily, luck plays a very big role in everything, in all of our lives, right? There's only so much you can plan. As I always tell people, 95% is luck. But the 5% which you control, you better control well, right?
Right.
And in that, I got my master's in chemical engineering at UVA. And when I came to the country in 82, chemical engineering was at the top of the game.
Right.
Then oil prices crashed.
Right.
And after I couldn't get a job, luckily I'd picked up enough computer skills. The very early days of Unix C, you could write some shell scripts, you could get a job. So luckily computer science came to my rescue. Also, I was able to get into the computer field at a very early stage, and I was able to benefit from the wave which came ahead. My foray into entrepreneurship, back to your question about, yes, after we had the second child, my wife became a homemaker, so I was running it with one salary. But even when I work for large companies, I try to find a spot with a large company which was a startup.
I see.
So you didn't have the equity and the financial upside of a startup.
But you had the mindset of
you had the latitude, you had the energy, the vibrance, and the sort of independence to do things. So I was able to, one of my earliest was at Wang Laboratories, where John Chambers was there, and we created a small business unit. So I got a chance to work with some amazing people and had the latitude and independence. And once I built my portfolio of skills and capabilities, then I said I need to do a startup. But in my case, I had to kind of mitigate my risk.
I see.
I could not go to start and be without a paycheck for months or years.
Right.
So I decided to join a startup which got funded. Right? So always was able to get into a funded startup where I had sort of the upside and the benefits of a startup without a huge financial risk. There's always a risk that the company would not go anywhere, and 24 months from now you might be looking for a job, but at least the downside was mitigated.
Correct.
Yeah, after that, you gain more and more confidence, and then you do, more and more, I'd say, exciting startups where the upside is a lot more, the risk is obviously a lot more. But the good news about Silicon Valley is that it's a very supportive ecosystem. Everybody helps everybody else, right? Even your toughest, fierce competitor. You might compete on a business, but off channel, you might help each other. So that's a very, very, very nurturing and a very supporting ecosystem in Silicon Valley. And then you got your friends, your network, your classmates, and everybody helps you in a certain way. So success has many, many, many parents.
That's wonderful. And in your latest venture, maybe you can discuss a few aspects of how you ended here and what it tries to do, because security is becoming again a very, very significant player in the computing world.
Correct. And Sri, I recall meeting you almost every year at RSA. So nice to see that you no longer go to RSA because it's become quite a zoo. By the way, for others, RSA is sort of the Woodstock of security companies, right?
Yes.
There are 1,500 companies who come, and there are probably 30,000 people who come. It is a big event in San Francisco.
Yeah.
And luckily for me, I've had the enormous privilege of working with a very, very close friend of mine, my classmate from IIT Bombay. We did a company before. He started it. I ran the field operations for it. And we had a very nice exit that got acquired by CA for $200 million. And the problem we solved there was, how do you keep the bad guy outside the enterprise?
I see.
Username password is easily phishable, farmable. So how do you come up with a variety of techniques, machine learning techniques, to multi-factor authentication techniques? How do you come up with a better security than just username password? And that was a very nice run. And CA is a very great deal for CA. That's a $100 million business.
That's Computer Associates.
Computer
Associates.
Associates.
Those of you who don't know what CA is.
And after that, we're not big company people, so we regrouped about 2 years ago. And then we said, what is the big problem to be solved now? If you look at what's happening in corporations, is that the perimeter, as we know, is becoming porous.
Yes.
Right?
Because people are working from home, there's a lot
working
of
from
cloud.
home, BYOD, cloud, even IoT, a simple temperature sensor with IP connected, is a potential hole in your firewall.
Exactly.
Right? So companies are moving towards sort of a borderless sort of computing model. And in this, all the techniques of security of keeping the guard at the gate, which is the old firewall-based fixed perimeter model, kind of breaks down. So in this, how do you catch the bad guy within the enterprise? To use a very kind of household metaphor, right? Every house, obviously you have a doorknob. If you hold a big party, you might have a guard at the gate who's checking for driver's license, passport of people coming in. But still, somebody might sneak in. Right? Could be from, somebody might come in through a chimney, from a crawl space, from the windows, your back door. Question is, how do you catch this malicious activity with high precision, in a timely fashion, in a cost-effective fashion? So if you look at all the recent breaches, Anthem, Sony, Yahoo, all the breaches, the bad guy was within the enterprise for as much as 6 months.
I see.
So what's happening is that the threat actor has become enormously sophisticated, right? And to again use a very simple metaphor, the previous detection mechanisms were, you're 6 foot tall, you got beard, or you got strange backpack, you're a bad guy, But today that thing doesn't work.
Right.
To use another example, today the bad guy.
Beard's in fashion today, so.
Yeah, the bad guy is, he's no longer bringing a gun.
Right.
It's like Sri, you carry the barrel, I carry the trigger, my friend carries the bullet. We all come in separately, and we come into the house and we assemble the gun. Right. These are called multi-stage attacks. Right. So in this, typical signature-based or pattern-based detection it doesn't work. So the question is, what do you do, right? And the problem we are solving is, again, to use a pedestrian example, is we are like your motion sensor in your house. Yeah, you got guard at the gate, you've got a doorknob, but still, when a threat actor, bad guy comes into your house, goes to your daughter's bedroom, you want to catch it in a timely way, right? So that's we are like the motion sensor within your house.
So more like a preventive.
No, early detection.
Early detection.
Early detection, timely detection is what we do.
Okay.
And we use a technique called deception.
Play along.
Yeah, honeypots. Yeah, we fool somebody. Like if you look at deception, there's a broad category that's been used in nature for millions of years for survival, right?
Right.
Your Venus flytrap.
Chameleon.
Chameleon. Venus flytrap, right? And it's been used in army for thousands of years, right? And Sun Tzu, who said all war is deception, right? And so you deceive for defense, you deceive for offense. There have been all kinds of examples in World War II where there were inflatable tanks, hundreds of them, to ensnare the bad guy, or to prevent the bad guy from attacking, right? So we use similar techniques of deception. So what we do is we put up fake machines, very realistic looking but fake machines, using machine learning and AI into the enterprise, right? So when the bad guy, simple example is Kathy goes to Starbucks, Kathy's laptop gets infected, right? Kathy comes to office, Kathy connects. Now her laptop is infected, and somebody's using Kathy's laptop as a beachhead or a launch pad into the organization. Nobody's interested in Kathy's data, but you might be the CFO, they're interested in your data. Right? Or you might be chief engineer, they're interested in nuclear power plant design. Exactly. So because we put fake systems, we almost entice the bad guy to say, hey, come touch me. And the moment he touches me, we know that we are a decoy and we catch him. So we're able to catch him with very high precision in a timely fashion. And we've got some AI, machine learning, and software-defined networking techniques to be able to deploy it at scale, right? At an organization of Fortune 50 companies where they got tens and thousands of users, hundreds of VLANs, 40 countries, we can deploy it at scale. And now with a cloud, the ease of deployment, in a good old days, you got to bring a big router or a switch or a firewall, put in a transport. We can deploy it from the cloud.
Yes, so. Of course. Do you read much, Nat?
I do. In fact, I don't watch TV at all. So that gives me lots of time for reading. I don't watch any sport. That gives me another 8 hours a week. Right? So
the reason I asked that question was when you were describing your product, my first thoughts went to this book by Ken Follett called The Eye of the Needle.
Yes.
And if you know the plot, those of you who have read that book, it's fascinating. And I urge you, without telling you the storyline, why that is connected with what Nat is doing. Nat, thank you so much for taking the time out.
You're most welcome.
We wish you all the best in your.
Thank you very much. I need it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hopefully we'll be back here next year talking about how things are going.
Absolutely. We'll be here. Thank you very much.